Welcome to the Journey of Becoming. I'm your host, Karrie Mitten. Before we get started, a quick question. Are you ready to break through to your next level? Uplevel Your Life Consulting is where executive success meets soul-aligned strategy. If you're a high-performing professional or an entrepreneur who's accomplished a lot, but deep down knows there's more clarity, more impact, more freedom, more you, then this is your moment. Our executive coaching is for leaders who are craving more than incremental growth and ready to make an exponential leap, stepping out of a doer mode and into their seat of power, owning the throne, done leading from obligation and ready to build a life and business aligned with soul, looking for a trusted guide to walk beside them as they release control and rise into vision. With personalized coaching, intuitive insight, and strategic expansion planning, we don't just scratch the surface, we guide you back to your center so you can lead from alignment, not effort. This isn't about doing more, it's about becoming the woman your vision is calling forward. Let's talk about what's possible for you. Book a free clarity call today, and let's create a bold vision for your next level of your becoming. Visit www.uplevelyourlifeconsulting.com to schedule your call today because you didn't come this far to only come this far. And now on with the show. Today we have with us Ronda Renée, founder of Divine Navigation, a transformational coaching company that helps successful leaders who quietly feel unfulfilled uplevel their lives and supports spiritual entrepreneurs to align their businesses with their soul so they can thrive with purpose, not pressure. Through her signature methodology and intuitive mastery, Rhonda guides clients to lead lives and businesses from their deepest truth. From fashion school to construction sites to global soul-aligned impact, her journey is anything but ordinary. She's on a mission to help others stop striving and start aligning. So, Rhonda, welcome to the show.
Hello, Carrie. I'm so happy to be with you.
So grateful to be with you too. And our paths have crossed once before, or a couple times before, actually. And I really loved your story and just who you are and what you do on this planet. And so tell me just a little bit about you and what brought you into the work that you do. What is the work that you do? And maybe, what got you to where you are today?
Oh boy, just
I
a
know
just a short little
that's a
answer.
lot.
Let's just see where this takes
Start
us.
from the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. And what I'll start with is the journey that you mentioned in your introduction, which was such a beautiful introduction. I went to fashion college, then I worked in construction for a decade, and now I talk to souls all day. So it seems like these things are disparate. What they actually are is very connected to what I refer to as my divine coordinates. And that is the specific energetic qualities that make up the frequency of your soul. And within them is our purpose and our patterns and our potential and our becoming. And so as I up leveled my expression and became more and more of who I was meant to be, that's where these things that look like they don't connect actually all were coming from, right? And pulling me into that next level of expression, each time. So that's the broader answer. The more specific answer of how I started doing transformational work out of construction sales was the end of my second failed marriage, which was super brief. I actually had it annulled. And at the end, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm very successful by all accounts, right? As an employee, almost 20 years ago, I was making six figures. Like
Mhm.
in today's money, that's a lot of
Yeah.
money, right? As an employee, as an award-winning salesperson. And I had two kids who were amazing. I had friends who were wonderful, right? I even had multiple rental properties. Everything looked good on paper. And I
Mhm.
thought, but why do I keep ending up in this ditch?
Mm.
Right. And so I went on what I call a personal development bender. I spent like 2 years and probably $200,000, doing workshops and trainings and this and that. And in one of those, Lisa Nichols, who some may have heard of, was spent a couple hours doing all these processes with us. And as she was leaving the stage, she just flippantly said, "Oh yeah, by the way," I can just see the whole motion of her body right now. "By the way, we're training transformational trainers." And there was a lightning bolt that went through my body, and I was like, I called it the Scooby Doo because I flipped my head and was, huh? And I like ran to her. And I'm not somebody who meets people. Like, you can be awesome, and I'm not a fangirl at all. And but I was like the second person to her in a room of 800 people, and I was like, I don't know what it is, but I think it's me. And she said, okay. And I go, you don't understand. I think it's me. I mean, I don't know why she didn't call security, frankly, but she grabbed one of her team members. And it turned out what I signed up for, what I plopped down $7,700 for at that very moment without even knowing what I was getting into, was to facilitate emotional authenticity workshops for teenagers, motivating the teen spirit. And I am not affiliated in any way anymore because my own work, eventually developed that has nothing to do with that. That just got me on a path of, first of all, facilitating a room full of teenagers.
Mm.
If I can handle that, there ain't nothing you can bring me that I can't get you through.
That's great. That's great.
Like, especially one on one, right? Like going
Yeah.
from a full room of teenagers to a one on one adult, like even if your inner teenager comes out, I got you.
Mhm.
So that was the beginning of the journey. That was the beginning of the journey. And it was like breadcrumb after breadcrumb after breadcrumb. And then in 2009, when the market was crashing, I sold windows for custom homes, and all of my other counterparts, all their sales were going down, and they were laying off people left and right. And I was the first person hired in the state, and my sales had not declined. So I wasn't going to be the last person they laid off.
Mhm.
However, as I watched them doing this and I had my annual review, I said to my boss, who is actually also a woman, she and I opened the whole state together where I live for this company. And I said, I don't think I can live with myself if I let you lay someone else off when I know this is not where I'm going to be staying for the rest of my life. I have something else that's calling me. I wasn't ready to leave, right? And we thought it would be like months. It turned out to be weeks before they wanted her to lay me off. And when it came up again, I thought a certain guy was going to be taking over my territory, but somebody else was hired. Like they were releasing in the order of hire. I don't
Got
think
it.
that's the best way to do it, but that's, safe or something.
Mhm.
I wasn't happy with who they were going to now have take over my area. And I expressed that, and she said to me, "This is your job. You don't have to leave." And I
Mhm.
said, "Yeah, I do." Right?
Mhm.
Because I could feel it. It was like, if I don't go now, and I said these words to her, I said, if I don't go now, I'm afraid I'll never leave.
Mm.
So I'm gonna take the leap.
Mm.
And boy, was it a leap. And boy, at moments did it feel like I had crashed. Yes.
Mhm.
And yet, if I hadn't taken the initial leap, the wings that came would not have been able to grow.
Mm, I love that. I love that. Yeah, I mean, when we do take a leap, it's a leap of faith, really. It's knees knocking, teeth chattering sometimes. But on the other side, if we could look back and know what was on the other side of that leap, we would take it every time, right?
Yeah. And even going back to that failed marriage, honestly, if that hadn't happened, if I hadn't had to, the way I described it, fight for my hard-won authenticity, right? It was the second marriage. And I'm like, I already did this. I'm not going backwards. And if I hadn't had to do that, I don't know how I wouldn't have ended up on the personal and spiritual development bender that led here,
Right,
right? So
right.
everything that occurs is an opportunity for us in our becoming, right?
Mm,
It's like the raw material, the way we say it at Divine Navigation is every moment is an opportunity to either create a new level of mastery or becoming, or express a new level of mastery. So in
mm,
the creating it, it's the friction, right?
mm,
It's the stuff
mm,
that feels hard.
mm,
And then in that other moment, it's, ooh, I've been through the friction and now I'm meeting this moment in a different way, in a
mm.
way that is closer to my becoming.
Absolutely. I mean, every challenge that we have is an opportunity for growth, right? And we can either use it to shake us or shape us. And I believe too that if we don't get the learning from each challenge that we go through, it's going to repattern again until we
Oh yeah.
get the lesson, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it sounds to me like you went through some things, but your soul was so ready to get the learning and the lesson, and look what you are doing today. That's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
where was there a pivotal decision? I mean, I know the moment that told your boss that it was time for you to go. But what are the other decisions that you had to make along the way that guided you to where you are today?
Ooh. In that same experience or anywhere?
Anytime throughout your life. I mean, because everything starts with a decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything starts with a decision. And so there are some pivotal decisions that
Yeah.
at the time that we're going through, it feels
Mm-hmm.
really heavy, but
Yep.
yet, it leads us to where we are. So,
Yeah, well, the first one that floats to the surface is again connected to that marriage. And I remember thinking as I literally fled the bedroom for the multiple times, right? And I was sitting on the steps because the master was on the main floor. I was sitting on the steps to upstairs, and my kids must have been at their dad's that weekend or something.
mhm.
And I thought, okay, I can do this for 10 years
Mm,
because I can do anything for 10 years.
mm,
And then I was like, wait a minute. Why in the world would you do this for another 10 minutes?
mm,
Much less 10 years.
mhm,
So that was a really big one for
mm,
me. And I wrote an essay on it years ago, titled I Choose Me.
mm,
I
mm,
think especially for women, we are so trained and conditioned to serve the people around us,
mhm,
our kids, our partners, our family, our parents, right? Especially as we get to be a certain age.
mhm,
And we so frequently aren't even on our own list, much less at the top of it.
mhm,
So that was a really big one. Having to declare again that no, if I don't leave this job now, I won't be leaving,
mhm,
and I'm afraid I won't be leaving was definitely another one.
mhm,
Um, the other one that's coming up for me, which might be interesting because I just this morning had a conversation with a client about her being invited to partner with a colleague
mhm,
on something. And I was like, us women entrepreneurs, like that's so I see it so commonly. We're like, let's link arms, let's go. And how frequently it doesn't turn out. And I have direct experience of that when I was initially creating this work. I was working with someone else who loved to train coaches. So that's actually the first thing that we did.
mhm,
And let's just say when you have to send an email asking what are the questions in the process again, you probably didn't create that process.
mhm,
and, and yet she acted like she owned the process. And eventually I had to, um, the lawyer said, well, at most what you did is partner to train other coaches, not in the materials, right? Like all the intellectual property, all of, it's all documented in my notebooks, and I was the one with clients around the work, et cetera, right? Um, so I bring this up specifically because women, again, can be so relational that they won't stand up for themselves. And
mhm.
I literally had a dream that um that I that someone was stealing my stuff out
Oh,
of an airplane. And I woke up and I was like, well, I know exactly what this is about. Right. And so had to part ways, tried to come to an agreement to, give her some money to pay her something for her contributions along the way, which was, not in the creation, but there were definitely contributions. And in the end, what she asked for that I was willing to do annually and able to do based on current revenue, she wanted monthly, I think, or quarter. It was something insane. And so
Mhm.
instead, she got nothing at all. And I'm like, well, how about cutting off your nose to spite your face? Like that
Yeah.
makes zero sense.
Mhm.
Um, where
Mhm.
I felt like I was being very generous in the offer, and then otherwise it was just math. I'm like, where do you think that's going to come from?
Mhm.
Like, so great.
Mhm.
Whatever percentage of zero is zero, y'all. That's how
Mhm.
math works. So, a pivot point to say, I trust myself and my work enough to
Mhm.
walk away and do this on my own entirely, to
Right.
not compromise, not let someone else take credit for what I did to
Mhm.
save a relationship, right? Like, and that doesn't mean that I'm saying that I'm someone who is going to sacrifice relationships because in fact, with my clients, even my personal life and my professional life, I always say I am committed to or I love long-term committed relationships. So I have clients that have been clients for since the beginning of Divine Navigation, 14, 15 years,
Mhm.
right? Like clearly I'm a long-term relationship person,
Right.
but how often is saving a relationship, one that they may not even be making their life decisions based on you, but you're making your life decisions based on them.
Mhm. Mhm.
That keeps us from our own becoming. Like
Absolutely.
whoever is in our life and whatever our life looks like today might have to change.
Yeah.
And people can be so afraid of that, right? There's the comfortable, there's the known, there's the safe, but safety is like an illusion anyway.
Yeah. Well, I love that you say that because as we are on our journey of becoming and up leveling who we are, we get to shut away things that no longer serve us. And it could be people, right? It's a lot of things, but part of that is people. And when I work with my clients, I tell them, who in your life is you're ready to release. And it doesn't mean that you have to completely release them from your life, but you release them from, their negative thoughts or their way of being. Certainly family members, can be a challenge, but you know, that's the pull to keep you stuck, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, and it's not about um, you know, it's not about you being a good relationship or in a bad relationship or being able to have those. It's about who you are becoming, right?
Yes.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yes. Yes.
Since you are, I don't want to say you're a mindset coach, but you're dealing with soul-led, divine navigation, right? Tell me, what are some of the shifts that you had to make in order to become who you are today? Um,
Mm. Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, interestingly, don't you find that, so much of what we teach is because we have direct experience with it?
1,000%.
Right? It's
Yes.
like, I'm
See?
an expert on this because I
Yes.
overcame it, right?
Right,
Like, I
right,
don't say anything out of theory. Like,
right,
this is
right.
direct experience, not theoretical.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest pieces that we work with a lot in divine navigation is the distinction between external referencing and internal sourcing.
Okay.
So, external referencing is when we're identifying with anything outside of us,
Mhm.
be that results or expectations, um, objectifying ourselves and basing our value based on what we own, right? Or achievement, acquisition, accomplishment, all of that falls under external referencing.
Mhm.
And it's really the realm of the personality.
Mm. Mhm.
And the distinction being that personality is really an amalgamation of coping strategies and survival mechanisms where we've put in place paradigms and preferences that supposedly keep us safe,
Mhm.
right? Like unconsciously, so frequently there's actually a control mechanism trying to happen, right? Whether that's an agenda, which we see as a positive form of control, I want this to be the result, or control as in trying to control other people so that we somehow stay safe. If we
Mm.
don't like the decisions they're making, how can we influence that, or those kinds of things.
Mhm.
Um, and at the end of the day, anything that's outside of you is not going to ever be able to fulfill you.
Mhm.
And our society is set up to get our value in reflection,
Mm.
right? From outside. Was
Mm.
I able to create a result? What have I achieved? What have I accomplished? What does so and so think about me? Right? I mean, like fill in the blank of whatever your version is, dear listener,
Right.
right? It's like we've all got the list.
Mhm.
Right? Is my mother going to be upset with me for making this decision? What are my even adult children going to think? Or, right? Just all of that's all outside.
Yeah.
Instead, the internal sourcing perspective, the ability to come within and for me in my world, my sandbox, connect with your soul, align with your divine coordinates, which is a combination of the heart, mind, body, and spirit centers of being that when coordinating properly and expressing fully leads to your full soul expression, fulfills your purpose, fulfills yourself. And that all has to be internally sourced. Even when we look for those things outside of us, which if you haven't yet had your divine coordinates identified, you're still looking for those things, except we're looking in the wrong place. We're
Mm.
looking outside of us. And I can say that with confidence because it's true for the majority of people. And even those of you who have moved beyond that, I know it was true for you at some point
Mm.
because that's the way the game works, right?
Mhm.
We come here, we get amnesia about who we really are, and
Mm.
we have all of this gunk that is layered on us,
Mhm.
life experiences, uh, codes of conduct that our spheres of influence have said we need to behave like this. This is what we think is meaningful. We take those things on. And have you ever heard the story of the Golden Buddha?
No.
This is one of my favorite stories. So, so it goes. So the tale goes that during one of the many conquerors, through East Asia, there was a monastery that had a giant solid gold statue of Buddha. There's many of them, right, all around those countries.
Mhm.
But this, as the soldiers were coming through to loot everything, the monks covered the solid gold Buddha in clay and mud so that the soldiers wouldn't know how valuable it was and that it was actually solid gold. So they were fooled. They did not take the Buddha. And fast forward many years later, all of the monks who knew that there was solid gold under that clay were no longer on this earth.
Mm.
And then the clay started to crack and the gold underneath was revealed.
Mm.
And I think of each of us like that.
Mhm.
Life experience, opinions of others, traumas, big T and little t, right? Not based on size, based on how we metabolize something. All of that stuff, who we think we're supposed to be, how we keep ourselves safe, like, we'll fill in the blank. All of that is the clay that covers the solid gold that is our soul.
Mm. Mhm.
And when we can remove those things, all of that external referencing, this is connected to the same story, the same question. And we move into the internal sourcing of the solid gold that is our soul. It changes the game we're playing here,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
how we live life and how satisfied we are and how connected we are to our own becoming also is impacted. Like we literally have more access to the truth of us.
Mhm.
And so the choices we make and how we move through the world are going to be different. And, like when I think about the world and what it really needs is more of that. It's
Yeah.
like simply if more of us were connected to our soul, and if when we met a pair of eyeballs on the street, on the Zoom, whatever,
Mhm.
we saw the soul of them,
Mm.
imagine how this world would be different.
Yes. Amen to that, sister. That's my purpose on earth, even if it takes one person at a time, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I love
I'm
that.
with you. I'm
I
with
love
you.
that. And I think I see that golden Buddha with the clay all over and little chips coming off, and that's the unbecoming.
Yes.
the becoming, right?
Yes.
Chipping
Yes.
all that away to become this beautiful thing
Hmm.
that's underneath. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. That's really
Yep.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yep. I share that story all the time. One of my favorites.
Yeah. So looking back at everything that you've gone through, all the transformation that's happened for you, what's one piece of advice that you can give to our listeners and
Mm,
on their journey of becoming, as they are on their journey?
yeah. So many things, but I'm just going to let what's floating to the surface come in.
Hmm.
I think what breaks my heart the most is um, doubting ourselves.
Hmm.
There's so many times we know exactly what it is that we're meant to be doing,
Hmm.
and we question the
Hmm.
little voice inside
Hmm.
because it whispers, it doesn't yell. I mean, it might start yelling if you leave it too long, right? But initially,
Yeah.
it's much more of a whisper generally.
Yeah.
So to be able to trust that grander, wiser, bigger part of ourselves
Hmm.
and understand that even when it looks like we're being knocked off path, we're more likely being knocked on path.
Hmm.
And that when we can trust the process and we can trust our own journey and understand that no one's life can be assessed based on a small moment in time.
Hmm.
It's only when you look back at the entire journey that you can see, oh, that led to that, led to that, led to taking me exactly where I was meant to be. But
Hmm.
so frequently, we get hyper fixated on one destiny,
Hmm.
right? Like, or we should say one destination.
Hmm.
Like, it should look like this.
Hmm.
And I feel like the minute I know exactly what it's going to look like is the minute that I limited the whole thing.
Hmm.
How can I possibly know? Right?
Hmm.
And so if I get too focused on one destination, I might actually miss out on my destiny.
Hmm.
And ironically, so when I was selling windows, my best friend, who we met because our kids went to Montessori school together, she became a trainer for first at the senior center. She was teaching seniors how to use computers
Hmm.
and doing presentations or whatever. And then she became a trainer for on tech, the technology trainer for the entire county where we lived. And I remember saying to her, "Oh my God, I can never do that. Like teach a class, like be up in front of people." Like, do you see the irony in this? I
Yeah.
literally said I could never do that. And now what do I do? Right?
Uh-huh.
Like, we
Yep.
had 900 plus people registered for Soulful Business Planning last year.
Yeah.
Like, and
Right.
I said, "You're going to talk to 20 people?" So if I had tried to control that, if I had said, "No, I can't do that," because ironically, right now, what you think you could never do might be the very thing you're meant to do.
Hmm. Hmm.
Who
Amen.
knows?
Yeah.
I never could have imagined this
Right? Me either.
ever,
So
ever.
so many things in my life. I couldn't even I couldn't write the script. I mean the things that and especially recently, I was sharing with you just getting back from Costa Rica, and that whole experience was just absolutely a divine appointment. And so, yeah, yeah, we try to fit the infinite into a box and say, okay, this is the way it's supposed to go. This is my expectation. This is what we think it should happen. And in reality, that is our human device on in safety mode, right? And
Yep,
and just pushing back and being in resistance rather than just allowing
yep.
things to come. Yeah, beautiful.
Totally with you.
Wonderful. I love it. I love it.
Yep.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing your story, your incredible journey, the things that you're doing now. I mean, I'm just so grateful for the work that you do. I'm gonna definitely look into getting my coordinates done. I've
Yeah.
not done that yet, and that's something that is very appealing to me. Um, but if before we wrap up, Rhonda, how can our listeners connect with you? What's the best way to learn more about you and work?
Yeah, so you can always find us at our main website, divinenavigation.com. it's the full resources there, both for our personal path and business path. I've really worked to make that a resource.
Mhm.
You actually cannot enroll yourself in our program anywhere on your own. So it's not a sales website. It is
Right, right.
literally a resource. So tons of things for you to have there. Our free events that we run. We have annual events that we do, as well as a couple of paid things,
Mhm.
events here and there.
Mhm.
So whatever speaks to you, can play with us in a lot of different ways for free. And I'll have to provide you this to share in the show notes. But if you'd like to have a taste of um, the divine coordinates and get a little bit more around there, there's two resources I would really recommend. One is called the Map of Your Soul,
Mhm.
which really is a deep dive in explaining what the coordinates are, because they are the map of your soul. And then to give you a direct experience of the energy of the west coordinate. It isn't going to necessarily be your west coordinate, but to tap into that and have that experience. We've got a special little 15-minute training that's very experiential that I can share with you. So I will provide that to you, Karrie, and then you can share that one, because I
It'll
don't.
be in the show notes
Yeah.
when this is released. Awesome. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for being here today, Rhonda. I know that your story is going to empower others on their journey of becoming and ready to take action on their next level of who they are, right? So until next time, listeners, keep embracing your transformation on your journey of becoming. Thanks for being here.